Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for our virtual visit super session. I'm Carly Fagan, an admissions counselor here at MBU. I know I can speak for all of us at Mary Baldwin when I say we wish we could have you on campus, but I'm so glad we're able to connect virtually. Don't forget, if you haven't already, you have until June 1st to complete your Mission MBU and pay your deposit. Today, we'll hear from my esteemed colleagues here at Mary Baldwin, as well as two of our current students. I'm sure you'd much rather hear from them. So Dr. Buckman, could you start us off by introducing yourself, what your role is at MBU, and where students might see you on campus?
Thank you very much, Carly. My name is Ty Buckman. I'm Provost and Professor of English here at Mary Baldwin. And the Provost is the Chief Academic Officer of a university. And so I'm responsible for the leadership of the academic program writ large, not just the faculty in the classrooms, but also our Spencer Center for Civic and Urban Engagement, our library, and our Center for Student Success and offices like that. I can be seen on campus walking between buildings, also out on the front porch of the administration building near Ham and Jam. I like to hold meetings out there with students and faculty. And on snow days, I bring my Golden Doodle Scout, 3-year-old, over. We walk through the dining hall and greet the students when they're snowed in. And I will pass it on to my colleague, Dr. Jeffries.
Dr. Jeffries, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe we can hear you now.
Good evening. My name is Ernest Jeffries, and I'm the Vice President of Student Engagement at Mary Baldwin University, the Chief Student Affairs Officer for the institution. I represent the student voice on the executive cabinet at the institution. Really, for me, my division of student engagement encompasses a wide variety of departments. We are in student engagement. It includes campus safety, dining services, athletics, residence life, student activities, student health and counseling, first year experience. I have joint supervision of the program for the exceptionally gifted with Dr. Buckman. And we also have community standards. So basically, the student engagement division, we encompass everything pretty much that students will do outside of the classroom, and also the programming and support that we lend to students also undergird the academic mission of the institution. And for me, you will see me pretty much anywhere students are on campus. Just like Dr. Buckman, I'm out and about all over the place. Actually, he and I are together quite a bit, but I'm in the cafeteria, I'm at student programs, I'm at evening programs, but again, just anywhere students are, that's where you will find me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jeffries. Dr. Usher, it's up to you.
Good evening. I am Dr. Carrie Usher. I am Associate Provost for Academic Affairs and Student Success, and I'm also the Dean of the Mary Baldwin College for Women within the larger university. I work very closely with our first year programming on the academic side of the house. I partner with student engagement on some of that first year programming. I also work with student success programming, particularly in our academic resource center in the Center for Student Success, which Dr. Buckman mentioned. I work with academic accommodations, so students who have 504s or IEPs, things like that coming in with them, and just general programming and academic work and academic support with our students in my associate provost role. Like the others that you've heard from so far, you can find me all over campus. My office is actually in a residence hall. I'm in McClung Residence Hall, which is the flagship hall for the Mary Baldwin College for Women. And I'm all over campus. I teach an occasional class. I teach a first-year orientation group that all of our incoming students take with their academic advisor, and I can be found also in the dining hall at athletic events, walking around campus, visiting with students, and having students visit me.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Usher. Dr. Walker?
Thank you. I'm Martha Walker. I'm Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, one of the 5 colleges at Mary Baldwin University that encompass all our academic programs. The Arts and Sciences is the largest of those in terms of numbers of departments and faculty in natural sciences, social sciences, as well as humanities. And my office, I do a little bit of teaching too. My office is on the top floor of Carpenter Academic Hall, where we have lots of faculty offices and lots of classrooms. Students spend plenty of time in Carpenter. And one good thing to know about all of those faculty offices, if you're looking for me or any of my colleagues, is, you know, if a door is open, then come on in. And even if the door is a little bit open and there's sort of a doorstop, but you can see a little bit of light, that means you can knock and still come on in. It's sort of a Mary Baldwin convention that we're a really open kind of community among faculty and staff and students. So we're all pretty easy to find.
Wonderful. Dr. Jones, will you take it away?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Darren Jones. I serve as the Associate Vice President of Student Engagement, and I have the pleasure of working with Dr. Jeffries in providing leadership to the Division of Student Engagement. Some areas that I'm primarily responsible for: residence life and housing, first year experience. So we work with orientation, community standards, Title IX, and also student activities, working with our numerous clubs and organizations to provide a thriving campus life experience. And so similar to my colleagues, you can find me everywhere. Our office is at the top of the hill in Cable House. And so if you want to make the trek up, we definitely will welcome you. It's definitely an environment full of energy. And also you'll find me in the caf having some good food in Hunt Dining Hall. And so my role, other than supporting those offices, is definitely ensuring that you all have a great experience here at the institution, ensuring that you have a smooth and successful transition into the institution throughout, and most importantly, out of the institution, as we want you to earn your collegiate degree.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Jones. We're going to actually go to Joseph Kalinsky. We are working on a camera error with Megan Speth, but we will have her, don't you worry. So Joey, will you take it away?
Hi, my name is Joey. I'm a rising sophomore at Mary Baldwin. I'm a double major in performing arts theater and film with a double minor in music and education. You can practically find me in the arts building, in any floor, any department in that building. That's where I'll be.
Great, thank you. Now, Michaela, up to you.
Hi, my name is Michaela Cotton. I'm a rising junior at Mary Baldwin University, and I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia, so just about 2 hours away. I'm currently majoring in sociology with a double minor in Spanish and anthropology.
Wonderful. And there is the beautiful Michaela. If you all were experiencing any lagging in the camera, our apologies. We will now go over to Megan Speth.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry about that error. My name is Megan Speth. I am our Associate Director of Financial Aid, and I am lucky enough to get to work with all of the people on this panel. Financial aid is involved in lots of things, the registration piece, where you live, things like that. So in our office, we do all financial aid, undergraduate, graduate students, things like that. We also do veterans benefits if there's questions about that, as well as student employment is run out of the financial aid office. I feel very fortunate to have the opportunity to get to work with students and families one-on-one. We know that financial aid can be kind of intimidating. It can be something that people are not quite sure about, and so feel very lucky to get to work with you on a one-on-one basis. You can find me around campus. The best place to find me, though, is where my office is, which is in the administration building on the first floor. You walk right in from the parking lot. Financial aid is the first office that you see, and we are happy to help.
Great, thank you so much, Megan. So for everyone on here, this information session is a bit different than any of the others that you've attended, as there is no formal presentation. We will spend the next hour with you answering any and all questions that you have. So please ask away and I'll help field the questions of the correct person. So thank you. And it does look like we have had quite a few questions come in already. So I will start this off and pass it along to Dr. Jeffries. Looks like our first question here is campus safe?
Yes, our campus, we consider it to be a very safe campus. First of all, we are located in a very low crime area. We have 24/7 security coverage from our Office of Campus Safety. We also have throughout campus an emergency phone system, and we also have our own Campus Shield app, which is a safety app where all of our students literally have their own personal panic button located on their phones, where if they were to put in an emergency call, our security officers can locate them down to the very floor on a building. So we do consider our campus to be quite safe.
Wonderful. Dr. Jones, this next question will be for you. When will be the earliest people can move into dorms?
Yes, thank you. So the last week of August is when first-year students will be able to move in. If students are affiliated with affinity programs such as VWIL, maybe Mary Baldwin College for Women, Ida B. Wells, a RISE program, then there will be the opportunity to move in earlier. If you're affiliated with those programs, the program director will be in contact with you to discuss move-in times and dates.
Great, thank you. And we're actually going to stick with you for this next question because speaking of affinity groups, do certain affinity groups live in specific dorms? This question specifically is, where do the ROTC students stay? So if you wouldn't mind, just take a couple minutes and talk about, maybe where they would all live.
Yes, sure. So those who are affiliated with the VWIL program, first-year students live in Spencer, upper-class students stay in Cable House. If you're affiliated with the Mary Baldwin College for Women, all first-year students will be in McClung. And also, if you're affiliated with the Ida B. Wells program, it'll be in Memorial Hall. And currently, we're working on Persist, which is the partner program with Ida B. Wells, which we're working on that location right now. And that would be either Woodson or Spencer.
Great, thank you. Now I think this next question may be the one that I'm most excited about. So Dr. Buckman, when do classes start?
So the first day of fall classes is August 31st. And so we have our orientation programming before that, but classes start August 31 this year.
Great, thank you. All right, Dr. Jeffries, this next question is for you. Have fall sports been discussed?
Yes, fall sports have been discussed and still are being discussed. As it's planned right now, we are on tap to begin fall sports according to the opening of school.
Wonderful, thank you. Dr. Buckman, this question next will be to you. It looks like there are two questions back to back on this topic, so we'll go ahead and address them into one lump sum. What are some of the changes planned for this fall semester due to the pandemic, changes to dorms, dining halls, and what are the plans for keeping students safe?
So I'll start on that and then invite my colleagues to chime in as well. We are working right now to build out our capacity so that the academic program will be able to continue uninterrupted, so that in the event that a student is, let's say, in quarantine or they have exposure to the coronavirus and they're not able to attend classes, we have online versions of all of our NC courses that will be available so they can continue to make academic progress. If there's a return of the virus, say late in the fall, and we decide that our students' health and safety is best served by not bringing students back after Thanksgiving break, for example, we usually have about a week and a half of the semester that's remaining for our residential students, then we will have the academic program arranged so that students can complete the remaining part of the semester in the online version of their course. It's our intention that we will preserve as much of the residential experience as we can with the safety of our students in mind. And we're hopeful that with a resilient faculty and staff and students who will abide by the rules as we figure those out, that we're going to have a good fall semester. I'll let Dr. Jeffries talk about plans for the dining hall, because I know there's some renovations going on there and plans for how we're going to adapt to the fall. And then anyone else who wants to jump in and add information is welcome to.
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Buckman. With dining services, we are looking at all angles and making sure to take precautions that that students are safe, but yet have a great dining experience. We're looking at how we can social distance through seating. We're looking at expanding the takeout program from the main cafeteria hunt dining hall. The same thing with our cafe on campus. We're looking at staggering meal times as well. Again, to do whatever we have to do to just create a safe environment. We are also looking at methods of serving, as well, to again ensure safety in the dining setting. And I'll let Dr. Jones talk a little bit about residence halls and other activities on campus.
Yes. Is there a question?
Yes, Dr. Jones, if you would like to speak on, what the plans are for residence halls, as well as, maybe any other plans as far as the current pandemic. What are you guys working on specifically in place for residence halls? I know I have had quite a few students and parents ask me about that personally in the past week.
Right. So one of the big pieces is the hygiene. So we want to make sure that there are sanitation stations at every exit and entrance around campus. Also ensuring that there are isolation and quarantine housing for people who do exhibit symptoms. Also working with our student health to make sure that there's expedient response and to service our students. As far as activities and programs, we want to be mindful of the capacity of rooms around campus. So there may be opportunities to shift a lot of the programming online, but also there'll be times where programming will have to be limited when it comes down to occupancy, and there may be times where students have to reserve tickets so that we have an accurate representation of how many will come on campus. But overall, our goal is to maintain as much of the residential experience as we possibly can. We understand that these are unusual times, and we do understand that everyone is very excited to experience college. So just trust that we are working very hard to ensure that everyone has a very exciting and fulfilling experience.
Carly, could I go to Dr. Walker to talk a little bit about Mary Baldwin faculty and teaching online?
Yes, that's actually, I was going to ask if Dr. Walker had anything to say, so perfect.
Sure. You know, since March, when like everybody else at all levels of education all over the country, we had to make a quick change. At Mary Baldwin, we were really well situated to do that. Mary Baldwin has had an online education program, usually for non-traditionally aged learners. I mean, it began as a correspondence program in the 1970s and became a fully online program in the late 90s and early 2000s. And our full-time faculty teach in that program. So, you know, more than half our faculty on campus are experienced, successful online professors, as well as professors in our residential program. So that helped reassure us institutionally and our students and their families about making this change. So as we try to kind of double plan, and we are really trying as much as anyone can to look at a variety of contingencies for next year so that we can respond quickly. You know, we're not in that position of just, oh, well, we'll just do whatever we would do in a classroom, but do it on Zoom and hope everybody can get with the program. We're really working very intentionally. We have an instructional technology staff that's helping build these online analogs that to our regular courses. So I feel pretty confident about what we've done to wrap up this year and about our ability to be ready for whatever 2020, 2021 is going to bring us.
Thank you so much for that. Dr. Jones, this next question will be back to you. When will roommate forms be assigned? So when will students get housing information?
Yes. The goal is by the middle of next month, there would be a communication coming out unveiling the new student guide website, which will have a workflow of things that all of the students, you all need to do in order to successfully onboard. One of those things is the housing application. So that would be in mid-June. And then we will work towards placing students in July with the goal of releasing housing assignments late July.
Wonderful. And so why don't we just stick on this train about that? What can students kind of expect, you know, coming from your office this summer as far as any sort of orientation? And then when can students look at moving in?
Yes, definitely. So this summer, we're going to be very innovative and creative. We're trying to give you the best onboarding experience. So we're having a virtual new student days. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see you in person. So we want to make sure that we make that connection with you virtually. So there will be information on MOVE, which is Mary Baldwin University Online Virtual Experience. That is going to consist of info sessions so that you can get additional information on how to successfully prepare for the summer, also completing your pre-registration information, and Dr. Usher can touch on that when it comes down to academic advising. There's going to be an online orientation that is going to provide you with a lot of the resources that you're going to need to be aware of prior to coming onto the campus. And there also will be time for you to gather in small groups with your amazing orientation leaders to ask them direct questions when it comes down to how to prepare from their experience. Transitioning into the fall in August, we do plan on having an orientation experience in the fall, albeit it may be a little different this time around, but we do want to make sure that you have that experience and also transition into some welcome programming as well, so that you learn about the organizations on campus and have those engaging opportunities to connect with your classmates. When it comes down to when you move in, traditional first year move in is August 25th. And like I said previously, if you're affiliated with a different program, you will have the opportunity to move in a little bit earlier depending on the program.
Great, thank you so much. Dr. Usher, this next question will be for you. When can students start registering for classes?
Thank you, Carly. That's a great question. So along with your housing form and your orientation guide, you will find a pre-registration guide. And that pre-registration guide will give you information about our general education program, our curriculum, what our requirements are for students, a little bit of information about how students choose majors and minors, and it will give you direction to a list of courses that are being offered in the fall. We call this our course offerings list. So once you have had a chance to review all of that material, you will submit a pre-registration selection, basically, of courses that you're interested in taking. You will tell us if you already have an idea of what your major may be, of your career interests. You will tell us which courses look interesting to you, which classes you might want to take to fulfill your natural science credit, which classes look good for a social science credit, a humanities credit, those sorts of things. And you'll send us probably 12 to 15 interesting courses. We take that information along with your high school transcripts, test scores, dual enrollment information, all of those things that you've already submitted to your admissions counselor, and we build your first semester schedule for you. You will be able to access your first semester schedule through My MBU, which is our student portal online. Our goal is by the end of June, early July, you'll be able to access your schedule, and you still have opportunities, plenty of opportunities to make adjustments to your schedule. For our VWIL students or ROTC students, your ROTC courses have to be worked in around your other courses. We have other types of programming that we have to make sure we work in for some of our affinity groups, but you'll have opportunities to work with an academic advisor through the summer and into the fall orientation period to make adjustments to your schedule. And then after that, after your first semester, you work with your academic advisor each semester to make your own schedule and plug it all in on your own.
Great, thank you for that. We're actually going to pass this now off to Michaela, speaking on class registration. As a current MBU student yourself, why don't you tell us a little bit, what that registration process was like for you as a freshman? Maybe if you can remember any of the courses that you took. I know you are an upperclassman now, so that probably was a little bit a while ago. But I definitely think that you should kind of tell us about what your first semester classes were like, if you remember, as well as things that maybe you packed, you brought to campus your freshman year. Can you dive us into your experience?
Okay, well, freshman year, when I was registering for classes, I looked at like the course offerings list, and then I looked at the gen ed requirements and sort of chose based on that. But I also sort of came in knowing that I wanted to major in international affairs, and then I wanted to minor in Spanish. So I signed up for a Spanish course, and I signed up for Intro to the African Diaspora. After it, somebody told me that maybe I should have waited to take that one, but that one was probably my favorite class. So I don't know if you guys see that on yours, but Intro to the African Diaspora was really great. Also, the Spanish class was as well. What else did I take? I'm not sure what else I took, but it was really simple, the whole process. Pretty much you just choose like 10 courses that sort of interest you. And your advisor will go and look at that. They'll also go and look at what you did in high school, maybe if you have any credits they're transferring in or anything like that. They'll look at that as well. They'll look at what you need left over if you've already have some credits and stuff like that. So when I got there, I don't know, I loved my schedule and it was pretty simple to me. And then what I brought to college, I brought way too much that first year, so don't be like me. Don't pack like 2 carfuls of stuff. That was a bad idea. But let's see. I brought lots of paper, lots of pencils, all of like my bed sheets, all that stuff. But I also packed like 2 tubs full of clothes. And then I had just a few utensils and things like that to cook and stuff. I don't really like to cook. But there is a sink in the dorm. So like in Woodson and Spencer, there's a sink in your room. So if you I don't know, like to cook simple things, maybe that's good for you. What else did I bring? Shoes, lots of shoes. Don't do that. Hangers. If you have like storage bins and stuff, I would say bring that. There's also lots of cabinets and things. So yeah.
So Michaela, how many times have you changed majors?
So, good question. Maybe
That was
4
Dr.
or
Buck,
5.
Michaela, that wasn't me.
That's right. Dr. Walker knows.
Well, I mean, it's not a secret. I think I've changed about 4 or 5 times now, but I'm sticking with sociology so far. It's been like a whole year and I've stuck with it. So
You
we'll
don't have
see.
to commit. You don't have to commit. So Michaela is she's a provost scholar. She came to Mary Baldwin as an undecided student. Well, no, you said international affairs. You didn't know you were undecided. You became undecided later. But I love Michaela's journey through the academic program because she's so curious and she finds academic subjects that she's inspired by. And so when I run into her in the hallway, she often has a new favorite minor. And I think it's a great way to go through college. And so I'm really glad that she could be here in the meeting with us.
Yes, and I just love the fact that Michaela said she does not cook. Because I see her almost every day as a student employee in the admissions office, and I see lots of ramen noodles being cooked. She definitely is working hard for that, so I love it. Joey, if you are ready, we would love to hear a bit about your freshman experience, and maybe even talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing this next year as an RA.
Well, coming in as a freshman, some of the things I was looking at for classes were things that were out of my comfort zone a little bit, but still in my major. So my first semester, I took an acting class. I'm not a big actor, never really have been, but I took that class, loved it, signed up for acting 2 the next semester. So a few things I packed included a mini fridge, a lot of pots and pans. With the mini fridge, I forgot where I was going to go with that. I'm so sorry. You can have mini fridges in your room. The only thing you can't have is a microwave. But if you want a microwave, you can rent those from the school, a micro fridge, which is a microwave fridge combo that draws power from the other. And there are other microwaves and stoves and fridges in your building as well. Each building has a kitchen or a kitchenette.
You're fine. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your freshman experience? And I mean, clearly you loved it so much that you now want to even be an RA. So why don't you go into a bit about that? And did you always think you were going to be an RA?
So when applications came out in beginning of the semester, my RA came to me and she was like, I think you'd be a good fit for this position. And I looked into it and I was like, sounds very interesting. But however, as things laid out over the summer with summer jobs and stuff, conflicts came up that I am unable to be an RA in the fall, but I'm hoping for the spring, the opportunity arises. I'm just really excited to make a community with my hall.
I love that. That is so beautiful. And I think that that's the kind of person that I would want to be my RA. I wish I could go back to undergrad, but I don't think that they let people in their almost late 20s now back into a freshman dorm. So Dr. Jones, I think this next question will be great for you. What types of activities are planned for freshmen in their first few weeks on campus? Dr. Jones, are you there?
I think I was on mute the entire time.
No worries at all. Technology is a blessing.
I said it was so good. I don't think I could. I said right when you all hit the campus, there will be a flurry of activities and info sessions from various departments and activities from student organizations as well. I want to give a special shout out for Baldwin Programming Board. They are our premier programming student organization. And so our students are really great with creating opportunities for themselves. So we work really hard to empower them to create those experiences. And a lot of it will come from them. And so you can look forward to program after program after program. It would be a plethora of choices. So I look forward to you all experiencing that.
Great, thank you so much. So it looks like we have students who are asking, what do students do for fun? So maybe Dr. Jones, if you want to even go on to that question for us. A lot of student engagement, I love it. And you're one of the most fun people I know. So what do students do for fun on campus?
I think I'm going to defer to Michaela, but I will say, if you want to have fun, come to Cable House on the top of the hill. You have a bunch of lively, energetic staff members that will welcome you at any time. But from my lens, I think a lot of students, they really build great relationships and they create their own experiences. And sometimes it's at a formal program, and sometimes it's in the nut house or the squirrel's nest, where students just go to hang out. So I think the one thing that we do benefit from is being a small campus. Students build very strong and authentic relationships with each other. And so when it comes down to what do people do for fun, it may sound outdated, but people actually talk to each other and build those relationships and bonds with each other. So just the whole community, I think, is very magical. And it's a very caring and intimate environment where people really make those authentic connections. But I'm going to defer to Michaela and Joseph for some additional insight.
Perfect. I was thinking that question was going to be a little bit more about clubs and organizations. So my apologies on not diving into that more. But yes, Michaela, you as a student, tell us what you do for fun.
Okay. So I like the little shops in downtown Stanton. I don't know if you guys have visited maybe the area down there, but on the weekends, a lot of times I'll go down there with my friends. They have little shops that sell I don't know, homemade soaps and candles and things like that. They also have I don't know, naturally made honey and stuff like that. So I try to eat healthy and stuff, but I love to have tea and I love to have honey in it. So I like to go down there because they have specially made ones. And then I also like to walk a lot. I also like to walk Scout. So that's the provost dog. So yeah, that's probably what I like to do the most.
So thank you, Michaela. So Scout has office hours in the admissions office Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons from 1 until 3, so that students who left their dog at home can come visit Scout and is a kind of surrogate dog. And while I'm on the line here, I love the Downtown Movie Madness. Is it once a month or about that? We rent out the local art house theater, and it's just for our students, and it's free, and they line up down the block, and that's always a great event. It's fun to see the students walking out. It's only a block and a half from our campus, but there are a lot of great things to do. We also there are 5 national forests that within half an hour or 20 minutes of Mary Baldwin. We're 18 miles from the Appalachian Trail, and there are a lot of great parks, and we're in the shadow of the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's just gorgeous here. There's a lot to do outdoors.
And if I could jump in as well, students, they go and they support their friends at sporting events on campus. They restaurant hop. A lot of students are, we have a lot of social events, student gatherings and parties on the campus as well. And as Dr. Jones mentioned earlier, our Baldwin Programming Board, they have just an enormous breadth of programming that they sponsor, from speakers to concerts to magicians and very, very interesting types of things that they bring to campus on a consistent basis. So we're fortunate that there's a lot going on all the time here on campus.
Carly, before we go on, Dr. Walker, could you talk about the Dungeness Visiting Artists and series?
Sure. Thanks to a really wonderful ongoing gift from the family of one of our alums who's also a board member. Every year, Mary Baldwin brings a visiting scholar to campus, first for a long weekend in October to get to know some members of the campus community and to give a public presentation, and then back again during Mary Baldwin's May term to teach a very special kind of hands-on class built around that scholar's research or work, because some of these people are also active artists, musicians, actors. So this year we had to do things a little bit differently. We were supposed to have a 3-week-long residency by Juan Felipe Herrera, the former poet laureate of the United States, who was going to do a wonderful writing workshop with our students that would bring in the Stanton community and get the class out into the community as well, visiting various sites. But when we had to change the plans for on-campus classes, no one missed a beat. And Juan worked with 2 faculty members in our Spanish and our English departments to design an online version of this class that's now doing a wonderfully creative poetry project on the web to sort of memorialize this strange pandemic moment, but its ability to build community, to bring people together, and to be very creative in their thinking about what it means to express oneself through poetry. We're in the process right now of talking about the plans for next year. We've are hoping to bring a scientist to class. We've talked to campus, a couple of people who do really interesting environmental biology and chemistry work. I had a fantastic conversation with a Canadian scientist known for work in helping to keep plastic pollution under control, who was imagining ways in which students working out in the mountains in the national forest that Dr. Baldwin was just describing could really sort of build their own mini labs in the woods on a day-to-day basis. So it's a fantastic opportunity for students to work with somebody who's coming to our small, close-knit community as a once-in-a-career type experience, and also for those people to have that experience at Mary Baldwin.
Thank you for that, Dr. Walker. Joey, this next question is going to be for you. What's a typical day like?
So my typical day personally, since you're able to customize your schedule of when you have class in the morning, evening, stuff like that, you can basically customize it as much as you want. So typically I wake up between 9 and 10 in the morning, and I just have breakfast in my dorm room. And then I go to class for about 2 hours. It's not too far. It's basically right outside the door of my dorm building. Walk down the steps, sit in class. And then after class, I go to lunch at either Hunt or CAF, depending on which side of campus I'm on. Hunt dining hours for lunch are 11 to 1:30. I believe CAF is 11 to 4. And then after lunch, I typically have another class, or if I don't have another class, I go back to my dorm room, do laundry, and then go to dinner with a few of my friends. Dinner at the CAF is 5 to 7. And then at the CAF, it is, I believe, 5 to 10. And then depending on the day of the week, sometimes I might have a rehearsal for a performance, or going off of what was said earlier, the Baldwin Program Board, they host events for students. So there was a bingo night my first semester on campus. You could win a TV, Keurig machine, basically anything you can think of. They had a lot of nice prizes. They also had a nice spa day for us on Saturday. It was a Saturday, I remember that, where you can go get a free massage, you can get face masks, your nails done, stuff, everything like that. And they also every now and again bring in either a magician, a hypnotist, or they had a game show night where you can actually win money from them. So depending on the day of the week, that's what I do in the evenings. And then I do homework and go to bed.
Great, thank you. So we're actually going to just stay with you because I think this is a great question to kind of go into. After that, why did you choose Mary Baldwin?
So I chose Mary Baldwin. My story is a little odd. I'm from Connecticut, so it's about 9 hours, 10 hours away, and a day trip down wouldn't be feasible. So I actually committed to the school before seeing it. But after I went to the school, visited, Michaela was actually my tour guide when I went down. After just being there for a day, I knew I made the right choice. The community feel was just like home.
I love that. Michaela, do you remember giving Joey his tour?
I'm gonna be honest, no. I'm sorry.
Well,
I mean, I remember you. I just don't remember giving the tour. Because when you got there, I was like, okay, I know you from somewhere. But honestly, I thought you were like in the RISE program or something. And I like forgot your name. Had no idea what it was, but I knew your face.
Michaela, why did you choose Mary Baldwin?
Let's see. Okay, so when I went there for like, I don't know, 3 different tours before committing, every time I went, I made a bunch of friends. Everybody was really sociable and they were already students there, which I think, sort of sold it for me. It wasn't just, all these other people coming in for the first time and I'm making friends among them, but I was also making friends among people who were already there. And they were all, all very, I don't know, close knit. They knew each other. I remember a bunch of you would just walk up to each other and start naming people. And I'm like, these are whole adults, these are business suit people. They're coming up to you, a student, and they know your whole name. They know this about you, that about you. And they're having all these personable conversations. And I'm just looking at it okay, this was not high school, middle school, or really any school for me. So when I got there and I saw that, I was just this is where I want to be. Yeah.
And now you know a bunch of those business suit people, right?
That's right. That's right.
That is beautiful. Megan, I think this next question is great for you. It looks like people are asking about jobs on campus. Can you kind of talk about our work study program at Mary Baldwin?
Sure, absolutely. So the term that's typically used as work study, we really view it more as campus employment. So you can qualify for federal work study funding, or we also have some institutional work study funding that's in there. But the way the program is run is really more of a let's get you ready to go out into the real world and find a job from the first moment you come on campus. So we do have a job application process as well as require a resume and things like that. Typically in July, and you'll get an email as an incoming student to let you know the job portal opens and you can go in and apply for jobs. And then once you get to campus after the orientation process, and usually we give you a week or so of classes, different departments will reach out and have you come and interview with them. It's a really good way to kind of dip your toes into the water to start that job search process. So by the time you graduate, you will have sat down and interviewed, you'll have your resume tweaked by the vantage point, and kind of move on with things like that. And then we have some students who find a job their freshman year and decide to stay in that office. We have been really fortunate in the financial aid office. I know we get to see Michaela a lot because she's upstairs in the admissions office, and we'll pop down to our financial aid office as well. On your financial aid award letter, it might say you are eligible for work study funds, or it might not. That doesn't mean you can't apply for a job. So that email will get sent out to everybody, letting them know that they can apply for jobs in July.
Great, thank you. Dr. Usher, is there an Office of Disability Services on campus for help creating access plans?
There is. We are the Office of Accessibility Services here at Mary Baldwin, and we work with incoming and current students on any sort of access that they may need academically. So if students already have 504 plans or IEPs coming in from high school, we can take copies of those to get students registered in the office. Once you have submitted your documentation, your paperwork, we work with you to create a plan for success in your courses. We go through your class list. We talk about the expectations for each class from your professors and what sorts of accommodations you may need for each class. And then we submit an accommodations request class by class each semester. So at the beginning of each semester, our students renew their accommodation request to their faculty, but it's a very easy, very straightforward, painless sort of process. And students sometimes send us their documentation over the summer. You can bring documentation with you when you move into campus in the fall. We have a little bit of time during orientation week to go ahead and get those accommodations set up if you bring your paperwork in at that point before your classes start on the 31st.
Thank you, Dr. Usher. Dr. Walker, when do students have to pick their majors?
We encourage students to do it fairly early so that they make sure that they're on time for the graduation that they're planning. Now, that said, our official policy is that students don't have to declare until the end of their junior year. I think that most students declare at some point in their sophomore year, and we do a lot of planning with students who haven't yet declared so that they're sure that the courses that they're choosing are going to help them decide on a major, explore some areas of interest, meet the requirements for courses they need to take for graduation. So it's not a problem if a student doesn't have a really strong sense of what they want to do the minute they arrive on campus. In fact, I mean, we were sort of laughing with Michaela, but I think a lot of students benefit from that kind of exploration while they look at what their different options are.
I think it's helpful to note as well that because of the kind of institution we are, because we're a small private university on a kind of liberal arts foundation, that all of our majors are available to all students who are admitted. So when you go to a larger university, you can be accepted to the university, but you're not actually accepted into the program that offers the major you want. So my brother went to the University of Washington. I grew up out on the West Coast, and it took him 2 extra years to graduate because he had to apply to the School of Graphic Design over 2 years before he could get in. So he was just taking courses, and then at some point he stopped taking classes and had to wait to reapply. And a lot of people, until you've been in the process, you don't realize that that's a difference. At Mary Baldwin, students can have multiple majors and double minors, and the scale of campus means that you're not taking a bus from the math building over to the art building. That we're a campus that has a sort of 10-minute walking perimeter, so all of these things are manageable, and in the end it makes it possible for students to graduate with lots of potential career possibilities and as interesting people. Not that my brother's not interesting, I didn't mean to say that, I'm sorry. Jason, in case you're on the call.
And on that, Dr. Walker, I know that this was something that was mentioned in our last virtual information session, and I think it's great to bring up. Why don't you talk about the benefit of a student who is maybe majoring in multiple, a multiple major student in different fields?
Sure, that's always one of my favorite things to talk about, which is completely unbiased of me since I double majored a million years ago in college in French and economics. But as Dr. Buckman was saying, students aren't constrained by what they choose to study, or they don't have to compete to get into particular programs, and so they can pursue the areas that are of interest to them. I mean, students who come in with an interest in music, who sing or who play piano, may find themselves being music minors or majors because they want to continue that study, even though their career goal is law school. I am just wrapping up work with a student right now who's a minor in French, but she's a major in biology, and she's going to an Ivy League veterinary medicine school in the fall. But she really enjoyed working with languages. She had some facilities she wanted to develop in college. So that those kinds of stories are frequent. Students who just take some courses and get really interested in a subject and say, you know, I'm definitely a health sciences major, but these sociology courses I've taken are so interesting that I want to pursue them, and I want a minor in sociology, or I want a double major. And you know, I can encourage that, because my French major in college was really the one I was doing for fun. But after a few years in banking, I decided that, you know, finance and an MBA wasn't what I wanted to do after all. So I went back to the second major and the fun major and pursued that in grad school. So there are a lot of opportunities to pursue your academic passions.
Thank you for that, Dr. Walker. Dr. Usher, I think this next question will be great for you. Can you talk a little bit about internships and how that process works for incoming freshmen?
Absolutely. So many of our degree programs actually have required internships or required field work that students typically do the end of their junior or during their senior year. And your department, your academic advisor takes you through that process. The program may have a field director. Our education student teach before they graduate. So there are programs like that already in place within the majors. For students who want additional internship or externship type of work, or for students who don't have those kinds of opportunities within the major, you go through our Vantage Point for personal and professional development, which is housed in the Center for Success, and you work with our folks there to find the right fit, the right type of internship based on what you're looking for. You can register for an internship at the 200 level, which is exploratory. So that's how it would show up on your transcript. It would be, for instance, if it's a communication internship, it would be COM 287, I think, if it's an exploratory internship. If it's a career-focused internship that's a little more advanced, a little more focused on the career that you want to go into, then it would be a 300 level. So it would show up as COM 387 on your transcript. Those internships can be graded. They can be pass-fail. Most internships are not paid internships, but some may be paid internships. And students are able to really have a lot of input into where they go and what they do. And you work with a supervisor at whatever agency your internship is, as well as with a faculty member on campus who guides your internship on the academic side of things. I believe that you work for 50 hours in your internship for 1 semester hour of credit.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Usher. Now, this next question is actually a question that I can even answer myself. This question is, why should I choose MBU versus a larger school? For those of you that don't know, I actually graduated from James Madison University, which is about 30 minutes away from Mary Baldwin in Harrisonburg, Virginia. I think there's probably about 25 to 30,000 students at JMU just for undergrad. And while I absolutely loved my college experience, and I would not change it for the world, there are a few things that I would change. I was a health sciences major declared coming in my freshman year. My very first class, my freshman year, I walked in, it was a chemistry 102, I want to say. And that class actually had 300 students in it. So I was very, very overwhelmed. I went to a small public high school actually here in Rockingham County, so about 10 minutes from JMU, where my average class size in high school was about 20 students. So I was not very comfortable to raise my hand in that chemistry classroom and ask a question. And so I think that that's something that students really need to take into consideration when you're comparing, a Mary Baldwin maybe versus a larger school is where are you going to academically thrive the best? Are you going to be that student who's comfortable to raise their hand in a 300-person classroom? Or are you going to be that student that would prefer that smaller class size and that, one-on-one kind of feel with your professor, where at Mary Baldwin, you're not going to have a 300-person chemistry class. So if anybody else would like to jump in on that question, I just thought I'd share a little bit of my story and my background and my why I love MBU.
Carly, I'd love to jump in on that. Yeah, for me, I attended a large SEC conference university, and I actually started my career at another very large SEC university. I'm a University of South Carolina graduate. I worked at the University of Tennessee, and I also worked at another larger public institution before landing at a very small, at that time, 1,600 student liberal arts college in North Carolina. And for me, as a student in a very large environment, I had plenty of those classes in large auditoriums, 400 students sometimes, and I had a problem engaging because I was one of those students. I was less inclined to even show up to class because there was just no accountability because I was a number. But whenever I tasted the smaller college environment, I fell in love, and I actually spent most of my career there because as a staff member, I got a chance to know students. They were not a number, they were a name. We knew them, we kept up with them. When they were not there, they were missed. And that's one of the things that I love about Mary Baldwin, the size of Mary Baldwin. It's hard to fall through the cracks because if you're not around, you will be missed because people know who you are. They actually look for you and look out for you. And also just that opportunity for engagement and being in a situation where your engagement is valued. I think that's a very, very important thing about an institution like Mary Baldwin. You are, when you're not there, you're missed. You matter, and we know who you are. You're not a number to us, but you are a part of the family, and we know your name. So that's very important to me as I work with students. But I know it also that whole atmosphere and environment have helped a lot of students thrive at Mary Baldwin.
Carly, can I speak to that just for a second? I really appreciate the question. It's always difficult for me when I participate in an admissions event, and usually we have these sessions in Francis Auditorium, and a parent or student will raise their hand and say, why should I come to Mary Baldwin and not come to, and they name another kind of small college like us. It's always difficult to speak to that because there are a lot of similarities between institutions of similar types, but this question is great because everyone sees that there's a real difference. The Gallup-Purdue Index, and my colleagues have heard me cite this research often, something like 70,000 graduates they interviewed, and they were trying to get at what makes a difference for your career and your life satisfaction after college. And one of the conclusions, and it's stated so clearly, said they found it's not where you went to college, it's what you did in college that matters for your future. So it doesn't matter as much like what the buildings are or the name of the place. It's really what are you engaged in. And to Dr. Jeffrey's point, at a smaller institution, there are just more opportunities for engagement because you're not standing in line waiting, behind 100 other people to get a chance to be in a theater production. You're actually recruited to act, and it's the acting where the learning happens. It's not the standing in line. And we have a lot of that opportunity for engagement on our campus because of the kind of place we are and the opportunities that we offer to students.
Yes, I love that. And I think that, both of you just make such great points. And really, it's now why I've been convinced to start my master's at Mary Baldwin. It's just because of that you're not a number feel. So on that, if we each, I think that going off of this, it would be great to say kind of what we miss about Mary Baldwin. This will be our wrap-up question for each individual. So Dr. Buckman, if you don't mind, why don't you say, what do you miss most about the Mary Baldwin community?
Thank you, Carly. So I'm at my house. I live across the street from Spencer Hall, which is one of the first-year residence halls. And I walk the dog on campus even during the pandemic. And I miss, certainly I miss the energy that students bring and that sense of potential. I spent my entire adult and professional life working at college and universities, and it's a real privilege to be around young people who are sorting out their ideas about their futures and are finding their passions, and to not be present with that. It's a difficult thing. That being said, I've had opportunities to engage with students online and through sessions like this, and there's something here that's real as well. But certainly having that sense of community is something that's been hard not to have right now. So thank you for the question.
Can I jump in, Carly?
Yes, of course. Go ahead, Megan.
Okay. I first of all wanted to say I miss Scout. I miss seeing him after Dr. Buckman was talking, because I know that his office hours are for students, but I sometimes come up and take a minute of his time too, because he brings joy to everyone, not just the students, to the staff and faculty piece as well. I did want to speak to something that I think is a little bit unique about Mary Baldwin and what I miss just from being in a large college environment where I went to school and working in a different college environment and then at Mary Baldwin is the financial aid piece. Obviously I'm biased, but a lot of times it's just an office where you come in, you do what you need to do, and you walk out the door. And I got an email from one of my favorite students this week who needed some guidance on stuff. And he was like, can I just FaceTime you? I just really want to talk to you face to face. I really want to have that piece that's in there. And I miss the student piece of it. I do a lot of paperwork and do a lot of things, but the community building piece that's there, and I don't teach a class and I don't get to do a lot of the really exciting stuff that people get to do, but I do get to know my students and I get to know their parents. I miss their parents too. I feel like I get to talk to them a lot more than a lot of my colleagues. And they're wonderful, sweet people who ask me about my children and things like that. And I've missed building that piece of community, because sometimes they'll come pick students up, usually at the end of the semester, and just pop their head in and say, hey, I just wanted to say hey and what was going on. And so I've been sad for it to be May and for students to leave us, which is always sad, but to miss seeing their parents when they come to pick them up too.
Wonderful. Dr. Usher, would you like to chime in?
Absolutely. I can just ditto what my colleagues have said. I miss our students. I miss my colleagues as well. Despite daily virtual meetings on many different subjects, we are a family, and we do have a lot of close contact when we're on campus with each other, with our students, with other staff members. We are very interdisciplinary. We're very cross-divisional at Mary Baldwin. We know everyone. So everyone in this session, we all know each other fairly intimately. And we have opportunities almost daily to interact with each other as well as with our students. So it's really that family that Joey mentioned that I do miss very much.
Thank you. Dr. Jeffries, would you like to chime in now?
Yes, Carly, thank you. Just like everyone else has said, I'm missing the family interaction right now. My entire career, just like Dr. Buckman's, been working on college campuses, and I got into this business because someone on a college campus connected with me when I was a student. And, that's my entire profession is based on, interaction with students and being there with students and helping students grow and develop. And I really, really miss the hands-on. I do still, talk with students quite a bit, but just having them here, that's why we're here. And that's what makes our world go around, for a lack of a better way of saying it. But, and again, miss the family as well, just like Dr. Usher was saying. Again, that just, we are just that way at Mary Baldwin, and, everybody's important and everybody's being there. It's very important. So can't wait until everybody's back on campus.
I agree. Dr. Walker, would you like to speak?
Well, sure. I'm not going to say anything really different because, yeah, I miss everybody. I'll just tie it back to what I said at the beginning, which is our sort of open door policy. I miss being in my office with my door open, even though I may have something I'm working on, and the fact that, there'll be sort of quiet knocks or somebody will just kind of stick their head in, and it's this wonderful interruption, but especially this time of year, hearing about what seniors are planning as their next step, or hearing about what students are going to do in the summer before they come back. And yeah, working at home, there's nobody around to, stick their head in my door and interrupt me when, I wish I didn't have to spend another 5 minutes on a spreadsheet or something. So yeah, I really can't wait. I ran into Dr. Jeffries in the grocery store over the weekend, and we stayed 6 feet apart, but we weren't being very good at that rule that says just do your shopping and get in and get out, because we were having too much fun catching up. So someday soon, fingers crossed.
Yes. Now, why don't we jump on over to students? Michaela, what do you miss most about being on campus?
Well, I think what I miss most is doing a tour or walking scout like around the campus and getting stopped by a million different people that I know along the way who'll go and like stop me. They'll want a pet scout. They'll go and, just chit chat, or even if I'm on a tour, they'll go and stop and sort of promote the school, which I love, because I'm like, okay, you're doing my job for me, so thank you. But it's really just nice going somewhere and feeling like, you know everybody, you see everyone. It's, nowhere that you go on campus do you not see someone that you know, or someone that, will stop and just say, hi, how are you today, or give you a smile. So I don't know, just that warm welcome. So yeah, the family.
Perfect. I was really hoping you were going to say the food. I know it's one of your favorite topics. But Joey, what about you? What do you miss most about being on campus?
What I miss about campus is the family. At MBU, you make family. We have the hashtag of MBU family all over the place, and that's its own family. But while being there, you make smaller families as well. Myself, for example, it was move-in day, and I moved in, I think it was like 2 p.m, and it wasn't even 24 hours later, I already had a group of 6 other people, and we stayed up that night making mac and cheese at 2 a.m. We just all connected and bonded, and we still talk to this day, and we all miss each other, and we're all from different places, and we've already been planning of like, we're going to go hiking when we go back to campus. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I just really miss them and the whole family. Carly, you're muted.
Thank you very much for that. You'd think after, gosh, this is my 4th one of these, I would learn to click the microphone button, but clearly not. So thank you all so much for attending and participating in this information session today. Please join us for our next session on Wednesday, May 20th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., where we will continue our series MBU Live, Ask an Alum. Thank you all so much and see you soon.